Welcome to the California Football Officials Association Week 2 Instructional Bulletin. Really appreciate everybody that sent me film via Huddle and via email this week. Got a ton of it. Definitely not a lack of film here for today and this week. So let's get into it. Before we get started this week, wanted to reach out to all of our officials there in Orange County. They lost a great official here at the beginning of the season or before the season began. Tom Menenti would have been starting his 34th season with our Orange County unit, but passed away on August 13th. Tom was a decorated combat Marine that served multiple tours of duty for our country. His last football game was St. John Bosco and Corona Centennial, an open semifinal in 2023 that was literally defined on the last play of the game. Our thoughts and prayers are out there with his family, as well as our brothers and sisters there in the Orange County unit. They lost a great one. Start off this week, we're going to talk a little bit about penalty reporting and what to do when you do have a foul. So you see a foul, your flag is down, what next? Remember to continue to officiate the play. No foul causes a live ball to become dead, and this includes all dead ball action. Get in there, separate colors, etc. We're going to stop the clock, because of your flag. So don't worry about rushing through, any of the dead ball action, etc. If we did have a completed catch or a run in bounds, the ball should be down at the dead ball spot with a crewmate standing over and hatching the ball. Generally, this is the back judge. If it's not the back judge's flag, if it is the back judge's flag, then maybe one of the flank officials. But we're standing there, and we need to know, where the end of the run is for penalty enforcement. Then correctly spot your flag. This gives you a couple of extra seconds to think through how you're going to report your foul to your referee. If you've got a hold at the 14, but the end of the run is the 20, and we're going out. More than likely, you don't have your flag in the exact spot. If you want to take a couple of seconds, spot your foul, or your flag on the 14-yard line. Think through how you're going to communicate your foul to the referee. I think I can speak for 101% of the referees on here that all the time we do not know what the result of the play was. So very important. Was it an incomplete pass? Was it a run out of bounds? Was the result of the play a touchdown, a safety, a touchback, etc.? What is the result of the play? Because that has to do with penalty enforcement, as we're going to look at here in just a minute. What was the status of the ball at the time of the foul? Was it during the run, during the kick, during the pass, after the pass, etc.? All of those are very important pieces of information to figure out how we're going to enforce this penalty. And then, of course, we need to know the type of foul that occurred and who fouled. So was it holding, offense, number 48, defensive pass interference, number 2, etc. It should be, I'm guilty of it as well, not getting a number, but it makes our fouls and our reporting to our coaches just kind of that much more legitimate if we're able to also give the player number of the one that fouled, because generally they will go back and, look at the film on that. So a lot of us do not work in crews every single week. If you don't work at a crew, if you're a newer official, etc., don't know your referee, a great icebreaker in the pregame is discussing how a referee would like the foul reported to them. It's going to include, I think, all of this information in one way or another, but a great way to kind of break the ice in the locker room. And so to illustrate proper foul reporting and penalty enforcement, here we're taking a look at a scrimmage kick. Team K is in illegal scrimmage kick formation and about to punt the ball over to Team R. And so you'll see this action here in the middle of the field that the head linesman has a hold on the kicking team during the kick at, about the K44 yard line. The end of the kick, as you'll see here, is at about the R34, 35 yard line, where our back judge has a beanbag down to mark the end of the kick. And then we have the end of the run back down at about the K35 yard line. So there's a lot going on, here with regards to this defensive hold. So since this foul occurred during the kick by Team K, by Team R, we know that this is going to be post-scrimmage kick, or what we refer to as PSK enforcement. That's why we have a beanbag down at the end of a scrimmage kick, because that can be an enforcement spot. So with the back judge flag down at the 35, we're going to enforce this foul from the 35-yard line and back up the receiving team 10 yards from there, 1st and 10 from the receiving team's 25-yard line. Now, the coach happened to call us over during this game, or right after this action here, and said, it was a hold. Why isn't it taken from the spot of the foul? Because the foul occurred during the kick. And if the head linesman in this case had not reported to me that the foul occurred during the kick, we would have maybe thought that this was a foul during the run, which would have been enforced from the spot of the foul. The end of the run would have become the basic spot, and the foul occurred behind the basic spot. So in those cases during a run, we would enforce this foul from the spot of the foul. But because it occurred during the kick, that's why it's so important to report to your referee the status of the ball when the foul occurred, because the basic spots become different in terms of penalty enforcement. We had a lot of close plays this week with regards to the kicking game and the goal line. Here we have a scrimmage kick, an attempted field goal by Team K that was blocked at the line of scrimmage. And we know that this can be returned by Team R as long as that ball does not cross the plane of the goal line. So it looks, we don't get really great angles on any of this. And if we kind of roll this back a little bit and break it down, it looks like he kind of gains possession, right at about the 1 yard line or so. Again, I'm not going to split blades of grass. That's a terrible angle for film here. I'm going to default to these officials on the field that this ball was possessed by Team R, in the field of play before his momentum brought him back into the end zone. But I think what really sells this, and what we're going to talk about here moving forward, is with regards to momentum, we'd like to see a beanbag down in this case. So if this player is tackled in his own end zone, it would not be a safety. His momentum, original momentum, is what brought him into the end zone, and what marks the spot of momentum would be a beanbag in this case. And this one, we had a really close kickoff on the goal line here, and illustrates why we moved our umpire onto the goal line to help with the referee determining whether or not the ball crosses the plane of the goal line or not. And in this particular case, that ball did not cross the plane of the goal line. Doesn't really matter where the receiver's foot is. In this case, we see that his left foot is kind of in the end zone when he takes possession of the ball. It really has to do with whether or not the ball crosses the plane of the goal line, or the kick crosses the plane of the goal line. In this case, it was ruled to have not, so we have a good return. And this player's momentum did not bring him into the end zone. He brought himself into the end zone and then possessed the ball with that 1 foot there. So we have a return, and we do not have a beanbag down here to mark the spot of momentum, since the ball never went into the end zone. And so finally, we have another close one here right at the goal line, where again, it looks like the receiver's momentum brings him into the end zone. I'm going to default to the great positioning that these two officials had on the goal line, and ruling that possession was made in the field of play, and that ball did not penetrate the goal line. And it's just a reminder, momentum applies from the 5 yard line in. How did the ball get into the end zone? And if it's the player had possession and his momentum brought them into the end zone, we'll have a beanbag down at the spot where possession was made, and then that now becomes the succeeding spot. If that player takes a knee in the end zone after an interception, a fumble recovery, etc., it would come out to the spot of momentum. It would not be a touchback. So again, anyone that's responsible for the goal line on these tight plays, remember that a beanbag marks the spot of momentum, kind of shows everybody, including us watching film, the fans, the coaches, etc., that possession was made in the field of play, and that the ball did not cross into the end zone before possession was made. And quickly in our next play here, we're going to look at an illegal formation by the kicking team. And as you can see with this formation, it really looks like just the snapper and the 2 guards there as far as linemen go are lined up within that imaginary line through the waist of the snapper. Both tackles. We've got a couple of other players in the backfield here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the shield and the kicker there by my count. So this is definitely something that we need to get moving forward here. This is not a warning at all. This is creating an obvious advantage for the kicking team. It looks like the receiving team is sending some folks back to try to block that scrimmage kick. So this creates an obvious advantage for the kicking team, needs to be flagged. And we know from our exception in Rule 10.4 that this illegal formation foul, while simultaneous with the snap, can be enforced by the end or at the end of the kick. From the end of the kick, we would go 5 yards for the receiving team, 1st and 10, with that exception that we have in Rule 10.4. In our final play this week, we're going to take a look at a personal foul for a hit on a defenseless receiver, and we're going to be looking at this action at the top of the screen here. And we know from Rule 232.16 that a receiver, including the person intercepting the pass, who is forcefully contacted by an opponent, and that contact is not 1, incidental contact as a result of making a play on the ball, 2, initiated with open hands, or 3, an attempt to tackle by wrapping arms or around the receiver, is going to be a personal foul for a hit on a defenseless receiver here. So this was a rule change, actually not really a change, but more of a clarification in 2023, and something that it appears that our players and our coaches, aren't really listening to. So I think we can agree that based off of the checklist that I just reviewed there, that that hit does not meet any of those 3 criteria, and these were good flags for. I think this came in from the back judge there right at the end. Good flag for a personal foul hit on a defenseless player, and that's going to do it for week 2 here. Really appreciate again everybody that sent in film. Please continue to do so via Huddle, or feel free to email me the clips directly there. And just a reminder, if your unit gives instructional credit for watching these bulletins, there is a quiz embedded in the description down below for you to receive instructional credit. Have a great week too, everybody. Slow whistles and call what you see.